On your feet! Get them going!
Oh, hello. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever the case may be. Welcome to Cross Examinations Live. I'm your host, Mike S. Miller. And what am I doing? Oh, I should have shared this out to the Discord. Could somebody? Bob, could you share this out to the Discord, please? Pizza Dude's got 30 seconds. What? Wait, what? Hold on. I'm in the middle of doing something. I did something a little silly last night, and so I want to do it again today. I took a Pokemon card and I painted over it. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Bob. And so now I want to do it to Machoke card. Because I can. So I'm taking some tape. This is all stuff I learned. Well, masking with this tape in particular. I learned using acrylics, masking with just regular magic tape, like it really works well. So this is going to be Machoke. So I actually want to tape off a couple of these, so I've got a ride in here too. How's everybody doing? That joke was hilarious, wasn't it? Wait, what? Pizza Dude's got 30 seconds. That sounds familiar. What movie is that from? It's from somebody. Someone is a pizza delivery guy. And oh, that's from Spider-Man. Is that from Spider-Man? No, that's not Spider-Man. So anyways, that's what I'm doing right now. Drill. Rhydon is a drill Pokemon. Sorry, I'm trying to get this lined up perfectly. It's kind of... The joke is in the Discord, and the quote is from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. Oh, that's why I don't recognize it, because I don't like those movies. Terrible. Aren't I terrible? Like, people are like, no, you have to like... Evolves from Rhyhorn. You know what? I'm just gonna nuke that part of the card. Evolves from Rhyhorn. I'm just gonna white that part out. Nobody's gonna see it. I don't think I had any little drop down. This is the pain in the butt part. These have these little drop down things in the corners, so it covers up a portion that I now have to cut out with an X-Acto knife. All right, I should be talking about biblical stuff. So somebody left a comment in the old comment section about, I remember I was talking about January 6th. He's like, what do you mean it wasn't? What do you mean it wasn't an armed revolution? Or whatever. Sorry, I'm reading evolution here now. An armed resurrection. What about this guy? And he shows a picture of the one guy who brought a gun. And he's firing off 2 rounds into the air while he's up on some scaffolding. And it's like, oh, wow. You know what? I never even saw that. I don't know how I didn't see that. I was paying very, very close attention to all that stuff. And so my flippant response, I was kind of joking. I was like, he's probably a Fed. And then after I answered him, I actually went and looked up the dude. The guy said on Twitter that he was a Fed. He actually got arrested like 2-3 years later for something else. And he's like, should I just call the FBI? And they're like, why? Do you have a warrant? And he's like, probably. I was in the January 6th thing, like on video. Everybody, the FBI had his photo, his face on video. And then on Twitter, he says he was a Fed. Now, I don't know what that means. I'll take him at his word that he was a Fed, sort of the way Ray Epps was, because, Ray Epps was the guy who was, shouting for everyone, trying to convince everybody to go into the Capitol. And they're all Fed, Fed, Fed. And nobody listened to him. Well, most people didn't listen to him because they knew the dude was a freaking Fed. And it's another case of the Feds knew who this guy was. They had his picture. All of the, you can't really hide yourself these days. It's just, you know what I mean? And so, yeah. Oh, and then the guy with the gun, charges dropped. Charges dropped. Weird, huh? It's funny because, you had 500 other people, grandmothers and dads and cheerleaders and whatnot, who were in prison for 4 years without any due process. But this guy caught on camera firing a gun in the vicinity of the Capitol building. Not only did they not arrest him until he outed himself because he got arrested for something else, they dropped the freaking charges. Weird. Huh. You know what I mean, Vern? You know what I mean, Vern? So, and then he replies, I'm like, and that's the one guy. That's literally the gun. The gun at January 6th. Armed insurrection. The gun was from a Fed. The only people with guns at January 6th were the cops. And then this guy comes back at me in the comments, and he's like, they had baseball bats and pepper spray and tasers. You don't think that's being armed? For all this time, the press and the government has called this an armed insurrection, because anyone with 2 brain cells or more that they can rub together understands that when you call something an armed insurrection, it makes it sound like you're storming the Capitol with AR-15s and M16s and guns. That's what armed means in our modern vernacular. If the people in general, and that's the thing, that's the media pumping that lie over and 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 over, to the point where intelligent people who just never bother looking up the truth will just simply think, but it was an armed insurrection. Trump was trying to overthrow the government, man. And then they think you're crazy for being like, it was not an insurrection. We all have arms. Jake Green, theists deem suffering death was the result of humans disobeying, sinning. The fossil record shows suffering death existed before humans. Theists have to deny reality. Well, here's the thing. The fossil record lacks what you'd call veracity in the argument that in the evolution argument. There's no transitional fossils in the fossil record. I could go through this whole thing. The age of the fossils is presumptive. It's based on circular reasoning. That is that, this fossil was found in this layer of Earth. this layer of Earth is 100 million years old. How do you know this layer of Earth is 100 million years old? Because we found this fossil in it. How do you know that fossil is 100 million years old? Because we found it in this layer of Earth. Are you familiar with circular reasoning? Because that is the case study for circular reasoning. You cannot date something by the thing that's in it, and then date the thing that's in it by the thing, by the strata that it's in. But that's what they do. So, yeah, sorry, fossil record does not. In fact, the fossils themselves, due to the fact that there is soft tissue dinosaur fossils, bones, it means that these things can't be more than a, let's call it a carbon datable amount of time. You can't carbon date anything over 50,000 years, and thus none of these millions of years timelines work with this thing, with the evidence that we have. So, thanks for trying. John Banuelos was his name, and he was nicknamed Cowpoke. Ah, yeah, that's the guy. Without Lies, Islam Dies says the fossil record debunks Darwinian evolution. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. There are no transitional fossils. They used to admit it, but now they don't, because they can't admit it, because it's a dogma. It is a dogma. Hey, Jacob, what are y'all doing in here? We're hanging, chilling. I'm painting over some Pokemon cards. I did not, Darth Knight Strike. I did not just join in to see someone who doesn't know how radiometric dating works. Talk about radiometric datings and the Mary Schweitzer topics. I didn't even mention radiometric dating. Did I mention radiometric dating? That's what we call a canard, Darth Knight Strike. But I would point out, and I think it's hilarious, because I went to a message board where this guy, because I was Googling the topic, and it led me to a message board where this guy, he was an atheist and evolutionist, and he went to a message board because there is a simple fact that kind of like is irrefutable. Coal. You know what coal is, right? That substance that's millions of years old. Coal carbon dates to around 12,000 years. And that's an irrefutable fact. So what's wrong? Is the coal wrong, or is the carbon dating wrong? Notice the host denies the geological column. He knows in his conscience death suffering existed before humans. He knows humans did not feature in the early records. No, that's not actually accurate. The geological column is pretty jumbled up in a lot of places. And the idea that you could actually, sometimes the geological column will just flip upside down for a while and then it'll just flip it back. Don't you know what plate tectonics is? Plate tectonics will move the entire thing in the stuff in the fold in the... Yeah. I don't think so. That geological column you see in your science books, it doesn't actually exist anywhere on the actual planet Earth, It's a fiction, just like, you remember the monkey guy turns into the man? Like literally Piltdown Man, Nebraska Man, 2 of those were like absolute fictions that they just created. They put them in the science textbooks, and then when they were admitted and discovered to be absolute freaking fakes, one was a pig's tooth, and I can't remember what the other one was, but they were both totally fake. They left them in there. Just like they leave the geological column in there, even though that doesn't exist on Earth. You believe a lot of stuff that's just made up propaganda, but then you look at me and you say, oh gosh, this guy doesn't believe my propaganda. You didn't mention any of the ways. What's up, Corp? What is up, Corpse Grinder? You didn't mention any of the ways they confirmed the age ranges of certain layers. You just said fossil dates and layers, and layers date the fossils like some kind of straw man. Well, here's the thing. Left them into the schools using outdated books because of lack of funding. Lack of funding. You realize we have the most funded education system like anywhere. You know, our high school students, in some places, each student, we get each student, let's see. It's different all over the country, but some states, they have like freaking, you know what? I'm going to look it up. Hold on. Give me a second. Let me do this real quick because this is hilarious. Lack of funding. Holy cow. No, this is such a freaking canard. It's like Canard Friday here today on cross examinations. One moment while I finish this up. Let's go see, because this is another case of you thinking something that just isn't true, my friend. Let's see. Public school funding per student, state by state. Per pupil spending by state. That's the world population. No, let's not do world. Sorry, let me go back. Oh, wait, did that go? All right, I'm going to open that one and this one. Um, 50 state comparison. That does not have a list. How about this one? All right, let's see. I'm gonna pop this up on the screen there for you, just so you can see that once again you live in a world of lies. Public school funding per student. New York, $33,000, $33,437 per student per year. Let's see. You got a public school. You got a public school, say you got 30 kids in a classroom. 30 times 33. Is that $1 million? Is that right? No, that can't be right. No. Well, 3 times 300,000? No. I'm sorry, 3 times 33 would be 100,000. Out of 10. Yeah, that's $1 million. That's $1 million per year per classroom. $1 million per year per classroom. Corpse Grinder. I get you have old falling apart science books. $1 million per classroom per year. Do you really now honestly think that public schools just aren't getting funding? That's the argument. You made an argument. It's lack of funding. That's why we don't get updated science books. You don't think you could print 30 science books for $1 million a year, bro? See, you live in this little world where you're fed these ideas that don't take place in reality. Even some here, let's see what the worst state is. Or not the worst, the cheapest. All right, in Idaho, you only get $300,000 a year per classroom. That's Idaho. That's the least funded state in the union. Gets $300,000 per year per classroom. It's delusional, propagandist, dogmatic thinking that makes you say, they can't update the science books. There's just not enough funding in the public schools. Did I just break your brain, bro? Lack of funding is not the issue. You proved yourself wrong. Correct. I'm not laughing at it. I'm just, it's astonishing to me. This is like having it's like the discussion I had with my brother. It's like, there's so much you think you know. Remember what Ronald, no. Don't you miss the point. You made the point that it was a lack of funding. That was your point, dude. Don't try to change this. No. Negative. Do you do debates at all? Arguing and refuting ideas versus comments limits us by word count and time spent typing. If you don't do debates, I won't judge. I feel that's the best way to go about this. I know, but it also, you know what? I would love to do, like, if I had time, I would love to do like a debate show where I just open it up and I do it like all day long. But I only have an hour, and so really this is kind of the limitation of my. Like last time I let somebody on, it was just supposed to make, like, it was Lou's Skeptic. We were just supposed to be clarifying some point, and we were on for 40 minutes just on the one topic, and I was like, bro, this show's only an hour and I have to get to the Bible. And I think you missed the narcissist, but yeah, I would love to eventually do something like that where I can actually spend time. It's just, I'm so super busy. I don't mean to sound like, oh, I'm so it is a sacrifice for me to take out an hour of my day to do this show. And I do it for the people who are here. I do it, spread the good word, whatever. I'm not here like the professional debate class who are making a living, debating on YouTube. It's while I think that's a lot of fun, that's not really my thing. Not right now. I think you missed the narcissistic aspect of the argument, Mike. Did I? I'm sorry. Would you like to try again? I'm gonna do one more coat on this. I'm gonna do one more coat and then set this aside to dry and then ignore it for the rest of the show, which I know I'm not doing now. But yeah, oh my gosh, school funding. You know why our schools suck? It's not the funding. Go watch the movie, and this is a movie that lefties should like, except it disagrees with their dogma, because it was made by the same what do you call him? Documentarian that made that Al Gore movie, Inconvenient Truth. Inconvenient Truth, the guy who did that documentary, well, he wanted to go find out what the hell was wrong with our public school systems. And so he went into it very much like the corpse grinder left-wing attitude and arguments that, there's simply just not enough funding in the public school system. We need more funding. $1 million per classroom per year is clearly not enough money to print new textbooks once in a while. And he just did all the research. He talked to people on the left, on the right, Department of Education, the teachers unions, everything. He went through the whole thing. He did a very, very thorough job. And he came away pretty much understanding that the reason schools in America suck is the teachers' unions. It is nigh unto impossible to fire a bad teacher because of the unions. The unions protect bad teachers so much that you can't fire them. There's, in fact, I believe it's in New Jersey. First of all, what they do when you have a bad teacher, like say someone that, molests one of the students, right? One of those kind of teachers. It's so difficult to fire a public school teacher that what they do is they will send a bad teacher like that to another school in another state because the teacher union is national. And they do what's called the dance of the lemons. And if you have a teacher that's just horrible and has done terrible things, but you can't fire them, you send him to another school in another state, he does it again, and then they send you their horrible teachers, and they do the dance of the lemons where they just move these horrible teachers around. You know, it's kind of like the Catholic Church did. Sorry, Larry, that's true. With priests for a while there. I'm glad they're, hopefully, God willing, they're not doing it anymore. But the teachers' unions were doing that. And then ultimately, when there were no more schools left to send these horrible teachers to, there's a school in, I think it's New Jersey, which has a teacher's room, right? Where these teachers, who are so bad they can't work at any other schools anymore, but it's so impossible to fire them, they go to school and they sit in that room for whatever, the 8 hours a day, reading books, on their phones, shooting the crap, playing cards, whatever it is. They have to be in school for 8 hours a day because it's their job and they can't get fired. So we spend whatever the salaries is for this entire room full of teachers to just come and sit there. And basically it's like the Breakfast Club, but for teachers, because they did bad and they have to go to work because they won't quit because they have teachers' benefits and salaries and all of this stuff. And I know it sounds crazy, it sounds made up, but this was by the documentarian that made Al Gore's movie, The Inconvenient Truth movie. It's the same person. And he went in expecting to think like you guys on the left. Right, Grinder? He went in thinking like you. And after he did all the research and did all the interviews and did all the everything, it's pretty much the teachers' unions that are screwing the entirety of. In fact, there's another thing. The teachers aren't. What was her name? There was a lady in government, and she wanted to work with the teachers' union to reward good teachers, right? So she wanted to be able to elevate good teachers and give good teachers raises, as opposed to what the teachers don't get paid for being good. Teachers get paid for never leaving. You get a raise. You get regular raises as a teacher. So the longer you're there, no matter how crappy of a teacher you are, the more money you make. You could be the worst teacher in the world, but if you've been there 100 years, you make more than anybody else. It's like having tenure, right? The public schools, it's like having tenure. So was it Michelle Yeoh? I'm trying to remember her name, but she was in the government, and she was trying to address the problem of the bad she wanted to reward good teachers. Like if there's some sort of a merit test you could do to say these teachers are so good, they deserve a raise. And they got like everybody to approve it. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I saw this movie, but they got everybody to approve it, except, you know who put the kibosh on it? You know who killed that bill or whatever it was, I can't remember, the teachers union. The teachers union refused to reward teachers based on merit. It's a scam. A scam, dude. You go, please do me a favor. Do yourself a favor so you're just educated on this. I'm not telling you to stop being an atheist. Oh, well, stop being an atheist, corpse grinder. But this has nothing to do with that. This is just for your personal education and edification. If the guy who created the Inconvenient Truth documentary could come away from the facts realizing that it's the teachers unions who are ruining education in America, then you can probably wrap your head around that and come out the other side just a little bit more informed on the subject. Because they can't print science books with $1 million per classroom per year is not a valid argument. Global warming is made up now. True. The curriculum is also awful. New math sucks. All the liberal arts are degenerate. Science is all climate crap and evolution. It is. It's a follow the money situation, right? They won't fund you. They won't fund you if you disagree with their status quo. Ads administration. Yeah, a lot of the money goes into the I think it's a lot of graft though. It goes to administration. And it's not going to sports. I know he was like, no, it goes to sports. Why are you looking at current funding? Because that's the issue. What was school funding in the 50s? What does that have to do with anything? How are schools funded? Property taxes. If schools are funded by property taxes, which schools get more money? Well, let's see. Federal funding. Let's see. Let's go back. Let's do California. Where's California? California's got to be close to the top on this thing, right? Oh, it's right about in the middle. We do about $600,000 per classroom per year. I think that's enough to pay a teacher a living wage, right? So California, as spending as percentage of taxpayer income 2025, 3.38%. Federal funding per student, $2,700. State funding per student, $10,338. Local funding per student, $6,529. Federal funding for public post-secondary education. What does that have to do with public school? Oh, is that junior college? State and local funding for public post-secondary education, $9,804. So most of it comes from state funding, which is probably why California spends the most. Oh yeah, it looks like federal funding averages around I'd say around $2,500, $3,000 per student. Federal funding per student, which is funny because you can go to a private school for like $5,000 a year. I mean, not like a fancy private school, but like it's not. It's just crazy how much we spend. New York state funding per student, $12,000. Vermont state funding per student is $23,000. How is... Oh, the secondary stuff wasn't added into the equation at all. Oh, gotcha. Interesting. How does Vermont get so much? Oh, because they don't do local funding because the state's so small. All right, gotcha. Never mind. Anyways. No, the geological isn't out of place. That's why you don't see species out of place. You are proving you deny reality. Neanderthals existed before modern humans. Can you prove to me that Neanderthals weren't human? What percentage of funding goes to books compared to sports? Just go watch the movie, dude. I don't want to have this fight with you. It's. I think you're like so uninterested. Your argument was about how long Piltdown Man was in books. That was debunked in 52, 53. Yeah, is he still in the charts? Oh, that's why you were going back to the 50s, right? So you're saying in 70 years, they just haven't been able to change that chart because they can't print new science books in 70 years. I'm pretty sure they've added a whole lot of stuff to those science books in 70 years. Why didn't they take out the Piltdown Man, dude? You think the majority of the school's funding to the teachers because they teach the curriculum. I don't know where it goes, dude. I don't know where it goes. Are you familiar with the channel Standing for Truth? I am not. What's that about? You can't be sure you're not in a simulation because you reject God. Your entire life is reduced to absurdity. Oh no, an evolutionist. As Neanderthals existed before modern humans, hence you deny the fossil record. Let me ask you something. Where are all the graveyards? If humans have basically been humans for 200,000 to a million years, that's the claim, right? 200,000 to a million years, somewhere between there has been modern humans. Modern humans act like modern humans, right? We bury our dead. We bury them. Hell, where are all the cities? Where are the 200,000-year-old cities? I don't deny that there is a fossil record. I just deny your interpretation of it. What science book has it in there as part of evolution and not an example of fraud? Oh, I don't know. This is just what I remember in the 80s. I grant you, I haven't seen a high school science book since the 80s. Actually, wait a second. My kids went to Christian school. They wouldn't have taught that. They wouldn't have taught that fraud. If you ever do debates, I'd recommend them. They are creationists, but they moderate fairly well. I'd look into them if you ever want to start debating. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Modern day atheists are actually 100,000 years old and witnessed the Neanderthals. Right. John Smith, I don't know. I believe Neanderthals existed before modern humans, just that they're more human than we give them credit for. Perhaps Adam was one, still a creationist, though. Look. What makes Neanderthal inhuman? Is there some particular biological reality that makes them not human? Or is it just some random delineation between some difference in a skull? Because I'll tell you what, this is the kind of thinking that led like Nazis and early evolutionists to think that the Negro isn't as evolved as the white man, because look at his skull. The Negroid skull is clearly less evolved and more like that of the Neanderthal. What if the Neanderthal is just another branch of humanity? Plus, in order to argue against many of your points, personally speaking, I would need a lot more time and space than YouTube gives me. Yes, I understand that. I'm just here to answer questions more so than like doing a live debate. So thank you, YouTube. Hold on a second. They might be the Nephilim. I think those are the giants. White man, yes. If you saw it in the 80s and it wasn't put in a book since 54, your school must have been mismanaging funds for 30 years. Neanderthals stole. No, Larry, no. Goodness. As brains are physical, you haven't observed a disembodied mind brain. My God, it's you living in absurdity. Brains are physical. That doesn't mean the mind is physical. You're confusing the two. The brain is the hardware. The mind is the software. With the hit Triangle Man. Triangle Man, Triangle Man. Let's see. Universe Man. Size of the entire universe, man. Oh my gosh, I know that song. I have it all. And technically, Neanderthal is a human. Homo equals human. Homo neanderthalis is a Neanderthal. They would, in fact, be a separate branch of humans. Well, there you go. Have you seen a mind without a physical? Yeah, have you ever done any research into near-death experiences? Remote viewing, which the CIA admitted to funding for 20 years. What else? Are you claiming that there's no such thing as the metaphysical? Are you just completely ignorant of the metaphysicals things in the world? There we go. Here's the issue. Present your screen. This is what the Nazis tried to claim, right? Well, clearly, one of these evolved from the other. That's your kind of thing about Neanderthal. I think Neanderthals are just humans. They're just humans. Maybe they were another subset. That doesn't mean they pre-existed. Just absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Gosh, my elbow. Did your school have a football field? Are you still hung up on this? Dude, it's $1 million per classroom. How many classrooms are in an average school? Where is it? Where is it? I have it somewhere. I had it right here. Where did it go? This is my class, 1985 junior high. One grade, one school. That's probably I don't know, 20 classrooms worth. That's probably 20 classrooms worth of kids, right? California gets, just by modern standards, because this school's still open, California gets about $600,000 per classroom per kid, times 20, $6 million. That's one grade. There's 3 grades in that school. So it's a lot of freaking money, dude. That is a lot of money. You know how much a gardener costs to mow the lawn for the football field? You could have paid him $100,000 a year to mow that lawn, and it wouldn't put a dent in the budget that school gets. You're so outside of the rational with this argument that they don't have enough money. Schools need more funding. Bull freaking crap. I get they're spending the money. All right, I'm gonna stop engaging you with this subject because you're driving me absolutely crazy. Someone in the chat is utterly ignorant about how much your average textbook costs. Yeah, even in like college, the textbooks were like $100 a piece. Man, can you imagine buying $100? That's $3,000 per classroom out of your $600,000 budget. Golly, no wonder they can't afford new books every year. Oh, you're killing me. You're killing me, Grinder. I don't think you've ever been more obstinate on a subject than you are on this one. Most of the money doesn't get to the schools, so we should send more money at them. Yeah, right. Oh, boy. All right, who are we talking about with the metaphysical? Have you seen a mind of the? Oh, it was Jake. Jake, yeah. Jake, do you just not believe in anything metaphysical whatsoever? I just want a clear question about that. You are arguing about funding the appropriate things versus funding the fraud they are doing. Do I have to scroll back up and see where you just said point blank, it's because the schools don't get enough money? I mean, you didn't use those words, but that's what you were saying. There's not enough funding. There's not enough funding for the schools for them to print new books. Why are you... You lost this argument. Why are you still going? You're like a dog with a bone. Just take the L and go watch the movie. Educate yourself. Isn't it more important to agree what is right rather than be right in an argument? Right? I would think so. Someone in chat utterly ignorant. Oh, okay. Operational cost for an average school. Funding the appropriate things equals pensions and health insurance for staff. Thoughts on church-state separation and having the Bible taught in class? Apologies for asking a political question. I am curious. It's not a political question. That's a rational question. There should be church and state. Church should not control the state, and the state should not control the church. That should be the separation. Church cannot control the state, and the state cannot control the church. I believe that is what is meant by the is it the state shall... I'm trying to remember the exact wording. Yeah, forget it. You know the wording. But as for the Bible being taught in class, I think it is imperative in the Western world that the book that shaped the Western world, that is the most important book in the history of the Western world, if not the planet, depends on your perspective, but certainly in the Western world, is taught at the very freaking least in history class. Right? You make them read the freaking Odyssey, the Iliad, Chaucer. You make them read Chaucer, but you don't make them read the most important book in history? Just on a basic pragmatic educational point. That's stupid. That is just dumber than a bag of chips. Neanderthals had different shaped brains. Really? Did you ever see a Neanderthal brain? Did you ever see a Neanderthal brain? No? Just a Neanderthal skull? You know what? Who else had different shaped skulls? Them silly Negroes. You know, they had them different shaped skulls from them Asians and them whites. This argument's not going your way, Jake. Sorry. I can respect you for your take on church-state separation. It's rare for creationists to share your viewpoint. We can agree on that at least. Is it? I don't know. Most creationists I know that I know. I'm actually, maybe you're right. I don't think I've had that particular conversation. If you want an eye opener, there's websites that list what your local school's payrolls are by individual employees. You missed the argument. Why was Piltdown Man in a book so long? Was your argument? My response was lack of funding. I should have said in books to be more fun. Right. Your response. I'm responding to your response. Your response was lack of funding. And you're still holding on to lack. Oh, wait. No, let me just ask you right now. Do you now agree that the problem is not lack of funding? I'll just put that out there and see if you agree. Because I gave you the facts. I showed you the facts. Funding is nowhere near the problem. You haven't observed a disembodied mind. It's you living in absurdity. You know, when I was in high school, I had it was a weird thing. I had this dream. I was not a Christian, by the way. It was just a thing that happened to me, and my mom and her best friend. So I had this terrible dream that my mom was dying in my dream. And I woke up crying and I called my mom and I was like, okay, something's wrong. And she just totally blew me off. She said, don't worry about it. Go back to sleep. Because I was living at my dad's house. And then she's like, that day, her best friend called her from San Diego. I live in San Diego. Well, okay. We were in San Jose at the time. And her best friend called and said she had a dream that she was dying, like on the same day. And my mom's like, oh, snap. I don't know what's going on. So my mom went to the doctor. And the doctor was like, how are you alive right now? He's like, your blood pressure is so high, you should have stroked out or had a heart attack. You should not be walking right now. That was probably my earliest recollectable dealing with what you might call a metaphysical, something in the ether, something in the non-physical, the non-corporeal, delivered. I don't know. I don't even know how to say it. It wasn't something that could be accounted for physically. And you can say, oh, that's just a coincidence. That's just a coincidence. Yeah. It's coincidence. Nothing metaphysical ever happens because I don't believe anything can happen. I'm just telling you, that happened to me in high school. I was not a Christian at all. At all. All right, I'm gonna scroll down a little. That's crazy, man. Right? And my mom will tell you. She's still a Buddhist. So almost every creationist I know would want church in control of government. Are you sure? Maybe you should ask them directly. Things along the lines of Christian nationalist isn't church in control of government. Christian nationalism isn't the church in control of government. it's Christians being in government. That's not a church. That is just Christians being in government. Because see, for it's a really weird thing. For a long time, in the church, it was, I don't know if it's ubiquitous, but churches were teaching people, and some churches still do this, that they shouldn't involve themselves in government. And I think it was Reagan forming the Christian Coalition that actually got Christians back into, like, you know what, if we're going to live here, maybe we should actually be in government as well. Instead, it's probably not a good idea to let all the atheist, socialist, communists take over and govern a country that is majority Christian. Christian nationalists are what the KKK started calling themselves to break away from neo-Nazi. I'd like to see some evidence of that. If you have some evidence, bro, just put it in the Discord, because I got to get to the Bible. We only have 4 minutes left. I always do this. Gosh, it's caught up in your back and forth. All right, let's see. By the way, anybody watching the Bitcoin market? The big burning cross. Now, can you actually give me actual documentation and evidence of what you're saying, that the KKK started calling themselves Christian nationalists to break away from neo-Nazis? Please, before you repeat that assertion, can you prove it to me? Send it to me in the Discord. Next chapter of Hosea. Ligma. I would be much more comfortable with atheists in government as opposed to Christians. Seriously, yeah, worked so well in Mao's China and in Stalin's Russia, didn't it? Or how about Cuba? Worked really good in Cuba. Venezuela. How's Venezuela doing? Oh, right. Pol Pot, ring a bell? Cambodia? Ligma, that's a fool's errand. Honestly, that's a fool's errand. Can somebody drop the Discord link in there, please? All right. Hosea 6, translated with deepest meaning. Come, let us return to the Lord, for he has torn, yet he will heal. He has struck, yet he will bind us up. His mercy, a balm for the wounds of his righteous hand. After 2 days, he will revive us. On the third day, he will raise us up, that we may live before him, his life a dawn breaking over our brokenness. Okay, I just got to pause real quick there, because one of the ideas posited about the age of the earth and all that stuff is that the 7 days of the week are the 7,000 years of this earth. And that after, what day was it? Like the 7th day will be the millennial reign, right? We're in the end of the 6th day. So, but the 6th and the 5th day, this right here rings that bell in my head. After 2 days, he will revive us. Talking about Israel, because this whole thing is talking about Israel, right? After 2 days, after 2,000 years, a day is as 1,000 years unto the Lord. That's where I'm getting this translation, this idea here. After 2,000 years, he will revive us. On the third day, he will raise us up, that we may live before him, his life at dawn breaking over our brokenness. In the third day, according to Ezekiel, the whole house of Israel is resurrected, brought back to life, dry bones rattling, right? Dry bones, sinews, muscles, everything. They're all resurrected into the third day or into the millennial reign, which would be the last 1,000 years. Is this me like this is again, this is just an idea. This isn't like set in stone. It just that's the bell ringing in my head. Let us press to know the Lord. His appearing is sure as the dawn, his coming like spring rains watering the earth, his presence a torrent of grace. What shall I do with you, Ephraim? What shall I do with you, Judah? Your love is like morning mist, like dew that vanishes at dawn, fleeting before my steadfast heart. Thus I hewed them by the prophets, slew them by the words of my mouth. My judgments flash like lightning, piercing the shadows of their waywardness. For I desire steadfast love, not sacrifice, knowledge of God over burnt offerings, a heart turned to me above the smoke of fleeting rites. But they, like Adam, transgressed the covenant. There they betrayed me, their faithfulness a wound in the bond of my sacred trust. Gilead is a city of evildoers, tracked with blood, its streets stained by the guilt of unrighteous deeds. Like bandits laying in wait, a band of priests murderers on the road to Shechem, committing vile acts, their sacred calling defiled by violence. In Israel's house I see horror, Ephraim's harlotry, Israel's defilement, their sins a stench rising before my holy gaze. For you, Judah, a harvest is appointed. A harvest is appointed. When I restore my people's fortunes, my justice and mercy entwined, reaping redemption from the fields of their repentance. That also just echoes that Israel will come back to God in the second coming. And call out to Christ. It all just seems very, very tied in. Ligba says, the trouble is that the vast majority of governments have been run by religion, and we have a very small data pool of atheist societies. I'll take rationality and scientific progression over adults that believe in angels and demons. Hey, you know who gave you rationality and scientific progression? Adults that believed in angels and demons. Shall we talk about all the evil brought forth by religion? Depends on the religion. Yeah, Islam. 240 million people slaughtered by Islam before the population of Earth reached 1 billion. Think about that. That's insane. A quarter of the Earth's population slaughtered at the hands of Islam. No, Christianity does not have any kind of body count like that. Also, Christians behaving like Christ wouldn't murder anyone. Muslims behaving like Muhammad, 240 million dead. Host is a bit dull. Neanderthals had shorter limbs. Oh, gee. Shorter limbs. Pelvic shape. Well, I don't understand. Neanderthals had shorter limbs. Shorter arms or shorter legs? I also hate to mention this to you, but humans have varying size of limbs as well. We're not all made from a cookie cutter. Yes, I am in denial before that death exists before humans. And he liked little girls. Yes, this is true. This is true. All right, that's it. 104. We're out of here. Again, probably not Monday, but Tuesday. I wonder if one of these days I could just do a Sunday stream and make it a because it is Sunday. I'm not actually working. I can come on here and just do like a live debate kind of thing. I don't know. I want to do it. I just have to find a way. So, anyways, Whatnot at 3. Whatnot today at 3. I got a video dropping on Blacklist Universe at 2:50 to hopefully lead people to Whatnot. It's the secret to being a great artist. Shit. Thanks everybody for being here. God bless you. I'll see you on the next exciting episode of Cross Examinations, the Reconstruction Zone.